So Felix to Milan is a done deal to have the green light on a buy option clause for Matistella.
Manchester City spends big to rescue their season, while Manchester United does little, and Bayern Munich loans out its rising star, all in a winter transfer window full of surprises and missed opportunities.
Breaking news.
Is it Tal?
Manchester City are hopeful of concluding a deal for the Porto midfielder Nico Gonzalez.
The winter transfer window for Premier League clubs saw an uptick in spending compared to the previous year, with clubs collectively shelling out approximately £370 million. This marked a sharp contrast to the £100 million spent during the same period last season. Despite this increase, the total spending remained well below the record £815 million spent in 2023. In fact, the spending during this window was largely dominated by Manchester City, whose £180 million expenditure almost equaled the combined spending of the other 19 top-flight teams. City's transfer activity, spurred by a disappointing season thus far, saw them make several high-profile acquisitions, with manager Pep Guardiola being given significant backing to rejuvenate the team. The main signing for Manchester City came just before the window's close, with the acquisition of midfielder Nico Gonzalez from Porto for £50 million. This deal pushed City's total outlay to around £180 million. This represented the second largest winter spending in Premier League history, trailing only Chelsea's staggering £275 million in January 2023. City's massive financial outlay during this window signals their intent to improve their faltering season, which had seen them struggle through a tough period of form in November and December, including 6 losses in 8 Premier League matches. Their chances of defending the league title were all but extinguished by these setbacks. However, City's transfer activity wasn't limited to just Gonzalez. They also added Frankfurt's Omar Marmoush for £59 million, Palmeiras' Vitor Reis for £29.6 million, and Lens Abdelkadir Kusanov for £33.6 million. These moves were further bolstered by the £12.5 million signing of Argentina under-17 midfielder Claudio Echeverri, who was loaned straight back to River Plate. Despite this outlay, City's net spend for the season remained a relatively modest £67 million, a figure helped by the departure of Julian Alvarez to Atletico Madrid for £64.4 million and Joao Cancelo's £21.2 million move to Saudi Pro League side Al Hilal.
Nico Gonzalez from Porto to Manchester City. Here we go, one more signing for Pep Guardiola after Kusanov, after Vitor Reis, after Omar Marmoush, now also Nico Gonzalez joining Manchester City is a €60 million deal. Man City are formally not paying the release clause, but with a different payment structure in multiple years. Agreement done with Porto, agreement done with the player who said yes to Manchester City project. He's already traveling to England for medical test, contract signing, and so incredible January window for Manchester City. Also Nico is coming. Here we go.
However, Manchester City's significant spending comes amid the cloud of 115 charges related to alleged breaches of financial regulations from 2009 to 2018. While the outcome of these charges remains uncertain, the eventual verdict could lead to significant restrictions on their spending moving forward. As the deadline loomed closer, drama unfolded surrounding the future of Chelsea defender Axel Disasi. Initially, Disasi had expressed a desire to stay at Chelsea and fight for his place. However, the club made it clear that it would be in his best interest to leave. Both Aston Villa and Tottenham Hotspur expressed interest in the French international, but Spurs soon cooled on the idea, sensing that Disasi wasn't keen on joining. In the end, it was Villa who won the race, with a loan deal agreed, although it wasn't officially confirmed before the deadline. Other late deals included Tottenham signing French forward Mathys Tel on loan from Bayern Munich, and Crystal Palace securing a loan deal for Chelsea fullback Ben Chilwell. While not as high profile as some of the bigger moves earlier in the window, these deals still added some excitement to an otherwise quiet deadline day. In contrast to Manchester City's lavish spending, Manchester United's transfer window was relatively subdued. They only made 2 signings during the window, and none on the deadline day itself. The first of these was Patrick Dorgu, a defender who joined from Lecce for £25 million. The other was 18-year-old defender Aiden Heaven, who made the move from Arsenal. United's lack of activity was somewhat surprising, especially considering their ongoing struggles in the league. However, the club's caution in the market was partly driven by their financial situation. With a history of heavy losses, United found themselves unable to make significant moves unless they were able to sell players for a profit. United's failure to make more substantial signings was also influenced by their reluctance to take on additional financial risks. The club had been exploring the loan market, but many of the deals offered didn't make sense from a financial perspective. This was especially true with regards to a potential move for Mathys Tel, whose potential success could lead to Bayern Munich benefiting from a rise in his market value. According to sources at the club, they were more focused on avoiding reckless and expensive risks, a sentiment that reflected their current cautious approach. Meanwhile, Manchester United's financial strategy also had an impact on their outgoings. Antony, who had been a high-profile signing just a year ago, was loaned out to Real Betis, while Marcus Rashford also left on loan to Aston Villa. These moves helped the club reduce their expenditure, with Villa and Betis covering a significant portion of the players' wages. This reduction in wages, alongside the arrivals of Dorgu and Heaven, reflected United's ongoing attempt to balance their finances, though it was clear that much work remained for the club to become more competitive in the coming seasons.
Imagine 2 years ago that you could get Marcus Rashford for 40 million.
With inflation, that's Ryan Brewster money.
This guy is mad. But
Tell me I'm wrong.
I don't know, but you could never have dreamed of getting Marcus Rashford when he was patting Mbappe on his head after they beat PSG that
he
time.
He was £100 million
after he scored the penalty to win the game at PSG.
He was £100 million player.
He was patting Mbappe on the head, man.
Think about it. He won you that Barcelona tie as well a couple of seasons ago.
Mate, like he's...
his highlight reel is a highlight reel.
It's a mad highlight reel. Marcus Rashford on fire. If you pieced it all together as a highlight reel Insta, you're going like 120 mil minimum.
The window also saw significant activity across Europe. In Germany, Bundesliga clubs had until February 3rd to complete their winter business, but for the most part, the window was relatively quiet. The major exception was RB Leipzig, who made a splash by turning Xavi Simons' loan from Paris Saint-Germain into a permanent transfer for a record 50 million euros. While many Bundesliga clubs were content to remain relatively inactive, Bayern Munich's decision to extend goalkeeper Manuel Neuer's contract for another year and bring in Tel on loan showcased the club's commitment to strengthening their squad in specific areas. Borussia Dortmund, struggling in the league, brought in Carney Chukwuemeka from Chelsea on loan and Sweden's Daniel Svensson, but they were unable to complete a move for Lyon's Ryan Cherki before the deadline. In Italy, both AC Milan and Juventus were active in the winter transfer market, trying to address their respective underperformance this season. AC Milan made a significant move, bringing in Mexico forward Santiago Giménez from Feyenoord to replace Alvaro Morata, who joined Galatasaray on loan. Milan also brought in Kyle Walker on loan from Manchester City, adding more depth to their squad. Juventus, meanwhile, strengthened their attacking options by securing Randal Kolo Muani from PSG on loan, a move that had already paid off with the striker scoring 3 goals in his first 2 games for the club.
I said to him, if now it's a question of the market, a question of he's an incredible player with an incredible physicality, when his focus is unstoppable as a right back. He's a top-class player. He's fit, because if he's fit in mine in there, can play 1, 2, 3, 4 more years as a professional. Because I never see a player with these physical conditions in my career.
The Italian market also saw some smaller but noteworthy moves, such as Dele Alli's move to Como. After spending several seasons at Everton, Alli had been without a club before joining the Serie B side. This deal marked a dramatic fall from grace for a player who was once considered one of England's brightest talents.
After years of spending time on the sidelines, he signed a contract with Serie A outfit Como. The club's manager, Fabregas, could help guide Dele back to his best. The question is, can this be Dele Alli's fairy tale comeback? We don't know the answer yet, but one thing is certain. Football loves a redemption story.
In France, Paris Saint-Germain made the biggest move by signing Kavica Kvaratskhelia from Napoli for 70 million euros. The Georgian winger's arrival bolstered PSG's attacking options as they prepared for the Champions League knockout stages. Rennes, struggling near the bottom of League One, made several signings to try to avoid relegation, including Jordanian forward Moussa Altamari and Ivory Coast midfielder Seko Fofana.
The biggest transfer of January 2025 is here. Napoli's Khvicha Kvaratskhelia is heading to PSG. From the obscurity of Georgia's top flight to Serie A superstar, in his debut season in Italy, he was awarded league MVP, a crucial figure in Napoli's historic title-winning side, and was nicknamed Kvaradonna for his brilliance. Napoli then fell off the following season, but in 24-25 under Conte, they're back on top, with Kvaradonna once again an integral figure. Napoli were desperately hoping to renew his contract and become the face of Conte's project long-term, but the Georgian has immediately requested to leave, and despite the interest of several major clubs, PSG are set to land the 23-year-old.
Overall, the winter transfer window of 2024 saw varied levels of activity across Europe's top leagues. While some clubs splashed significant amounts of money, others were more conservative, reflecting the differing financial landscapes and ambitions of teams in the Premier League, Bundesliga, Serie A, and League One. So what are your thoughts about this? Do let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.